McRae, James McRae in Station 4, certainly one of the favourites to win this Interstate Men's Single Scull for the President's Cup. And by my reckoning, it's been since 1988 since South Australia won the event. That was back to Brenton Terrell on the flood tide at Penrith back in 1988. So James McRae has his chance here representing South Australia. The full field, lane 1, Tasmania, Scotty Brennan, Olympic champion in the double scull, coached by Red Ailiff. Lane 2, Western Australia, Rhys Grant, who's coached by Lincoln Handley, a youngster who you would think would have the job in front of him. Lane 3, Queensland, Jared Bidwell, who was 5th in the World Championship in the double scull last year, and a silver medal in the quad scull in 2009 in Poznan in Poland. Lane 4, South Australia, James McRae, a member of the Australian quad scull in 2008 and again in 2010. In lane 5 is the ACT Nicholas Barnier, who won the under-23 single scull here on Friday. He's coached by Gordon Marks and Anna Tree. Lane 6, New South Wales, Alexander Belanogov, better known as Sasha Belanogov. He's coached by Mark Prater. And lane 7, Victoria, Karsten Forstling, who's coached by Chris Cobber O'Brien. And away they go in the Interstate Men's Single Scull for the President's Cup, with Victoria the current title holder. Scotty Brennan got away well down in Station 1, but James McRae of South Australia also got away well. Last year in this event, Bidwell led early and he blew up at the end, so it'll be interesting to see what pattern of racing Jared Bidwell takes on this particular occasion. McRae, the local, they know the conditions here. When it gets a bit windy at West Lakes, it can get a bit tricky. And certainly James McRae and before him, Chris Morgan, both know the conditions well. Karsten Forstling from Victoria's got away well in Station 7. Sasha Belanogov of New South Wales just there and around the money. And Nick Barnier finding the pace just a little too hot for him in the early stages. And surprisingly, Scott Brennan just struggling a little in the early stages as James McRae goes to the lead in the first 250 metres in the Interstate Men's Single Scull for the President's Cup. The local hope, McRae from South Australia, has taken the lead in the President's Cup. He's leading out there on his stroke side is Jared Bidwell representing Queensland. The Victorian Karsten Forstling is going nicely in Station 7. He was in the final of the single on Friday. Bidwell didn't make that final. Rhys Grant of WA was over in the B final. Scotty Brennan from Tasmania on the far side of the course, just on the comeback trail really. For those of you who don't know, Brennan, the Olympic gold medalist, came back and decided to continue his career as a doctor. Had 2 years off rowing and told me the other day he lost 10 kilos. I'd like to lose 10 if I could. And he looks in sensational form. He may not win today, but you want to watch out for Scott Brennan in this event next year, and any event he contests next year. James McRae handling the rough conditions well. Karsten Forstling doing a good job for Victoria there. And in third place at the moment is Jared Bidwell for Queensland. Then Sasha Belanogov of New South Wales. And those four handling the conditions best in the early stages of the President's Cup for the Interstate Men's Single Scull Championship of Australia. The youngster there, Nick Barnier, did a great job to win the under-23s, but he is playing with the big boys here today, and he's finding that pace just a little too hot for him early, and he's back at the rear of the field, surprisingly, along with Rhys Grant and Scotty Brennan. Surprisingly, the Brennan's back there with those three. He's in the second half of the field. But James McRae handling the conditions well. There's just a bit of a joggle on the water, and McRae looking confident in his sculling. He's coached these days by Jason Lane here in South Australia, the head coach of the South Australian Sports Institute. He did a good job in the double scull. He was second in the single, along with his double sculls partner, Chris Morgan. And he's the early leader. Karsten Forstling for Victoria in second place. So it's South Australia leading from Victoria. Then follows Queensland. New South Wales fourth, Sasha Belanogov, originally from Rockhampton. His younger brother got a medal here earlier today. And the conditions getting quite windy now, and would suggest to everyone on the course that they tie their boats down. But the race on in earnest on the course, 34.5 strokes to the minute. James McRae working hard. He's gone through the 1,000 in 3:22.41. Jared Bidwell holding down second place for Queensland. So it's South Australia leading Queensland. Forstling of Victoria in third place. Scotty Brennan on the improve for Tasmania. He's moved into fourth, has Scott Brennan. Sasha Belanogoff in fifth. Then follows Reece Grant of Western Australia, and the ACT's Nick Barnier at the rear of the field. But the local hope, 1988 was the last time South Australia won this race. It was in a flood in Penrith on the river, well before the Sydney International Regatta Centre was built. I had a word to the winner on that day just a couple of days ago, Brenton Terrell. He's here and he was feeling pretty confident about the South Australian chances, and it'll be a great win. And I know Phil Mangelsdorf had a talk to Norm Talbot, who won this race about 50 years ago, 40 years ago at least, a couple of days ago. So South Australia, they have long gaps between winning this race, but James McRae, a bit of rough water there. Took a couple of dirty strokes to Jimmy McRae. He's recovering well. Bidwell's right on his hammer though. It's South Australia and Queensland. Bidwell obviously be impressed by the win of Sal Keogh in the race before. He was third in 2009 in this event, Jared Bidwell. He led them up last year and weakened in the dying stages. He's rowing a much more controlled race here this year. James McRae, big James McRae. That's the only way to describe him. He's a big lad and a lovely young fellow as well. He's from Murray Bridge originally, and he's holding the lead for South Australia. He's just a neat length clear of Jared Bidwell for Queensland. So it's South Australia and Queensland in the lead. Karsten Forsterling of Victoria in third place. Scott Brennan just 1.7 away for Tasmania. Then follows New South Wales, Belanogoff, Reece Grant of Western Australia, and Nick Barnier at the rear for the ACT. James McRae, 5:07.77. To the support of the hometown crowd, the South Australians go wild as James McRae for South Australia leads the interstate men's single scull for the President's Cup. James McRae, South Australia in the lead. Second is his Queensland, Jared Bidwell. Third is Karsten Forsterling for Victoria. And then fourth, the Olympic champion in the double scull, Scott Brennan for Tasmania. So it's South Australia, Queensland, Victoria and Tasmania. That's where the medals will be, ladies and gentlemen. Big Jimmy McRae in the lead. Jared Bidwell's right there with him, only about a length back, and Forsterling over on the far side, and Brennan on the charge. South Australia, James McRae, the first time since 1988 as Bidwell lifts, and Forsterling sprinting on the far side for Victoria, and Scott Brennan lifting on this side. Jimmy McRae under pressure from Forsterling for Victoria, and then back to Bidwell for Queensland, and Tasmania's Brennan, and Sasha Belanogoff sprinting as well. James McRae for South Australia, Forsterling for Victoria, then back to Belanogoff for New South Wales, and Bidwell for Queensland, and Scotty Brennan for Tasmania. McRae hangs on for dear life as they drive to the line. It's a South Australian win. Victoria second, New South Wales third, Tasmania fourth, Queensland fifth, then follows Western Australia in the ACT. James McRae for South Australia wins the President's Cup for the Interstate Men's Single Scull Championship of Australia. Second, Victoria, Karsten Forsterling. Third, New South Wales, Sasha Belanogoff. Fourth was Tasmania, Scott Brennan. Fifth, Queensland, Jared Bidwell. Sixth, then Reece Grant, Western Australia. And seventh, Nick Barnier of the ACT. Winning time 6:53.82.
Presentation of the medals and the President's Cup for the Interstate Men's Single Sculling Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Roseanne Healy, representing Adelaide Airport, a sponsor of this regatta, and the President's Cup will be presented by Colin Smith, the President of Rowing Australia. In third place, winner of the bronze medal, representing New South Wales, Sasha Belanogoff. Coach is Mark Prater. In second place, winning the silver medal, representing Victoria, Karsten Forsterling. Coached by Chris O'Brien. And the Interstate Men's Single Sculling Champion for 2011, representing South Australia, James McRae. Coached by Jason Lane. The President of Rowing Australia now hands to James McRae the President's Cup. James, a win in Adelaide in the President's Cup, is that a great omen?
Yeah, it's pretty special to be able to do this on the home soil. I rode it 2007 in the Gambia, and this is the first time since, but yeah, once every 12 years it's been here, so yeah, very happy. Great crowd today, and see how we go in the King's Cup later on.
Run us through the race a little bit. What was it like? A bit lumpy up at the start?
Yeah, it's pretty tricky at the start. There was a bit of a crosswind there, but I got out pretty cleanly and managed to get out in front of the boys and just hold them off to the end.
And you did that well. Please congratulate James McRae, President's Cup winner 2011, and the medalists.
And all of today's racing is being screened worldwide on WCSN live coverage. And if you'd like to have your own memento to relive the 2 days of the Australian Rowing Council action here, you can purchase a DVD of all of today's finals races by going to the wcsn.com.au website and follow the How to Purchase DVD link. So thanks to WCSN for being here for the live coverage of today's interstate racing, and the DVD is available if you go to the WCSN website.com.au to see how you purchase one.